Here is a McGraw Edison Thin and Light model 204001 two-speed box fan, and this fan has appeared on video I think once when I tried to somewhat troubleshoot it. It desperately needs to be oiled. It really does. And I've had this for quite some time. When I unboxed it,
Lifetime lubricated bearings.
yeah, lifetime. That's a lie.
I see it on all the new fins.
So when I acquired this fan a long time ago, probably 10 plus years ago, I never actually plugged it in. I had this tendency of acquiring fans I wanted and just never plugging them in. I was like, cool, I got it. And this was one of those cases.
Oh, missing out.
Yeah, it
rivet.
needs some stuff. This definitely needs some stuff. So it looks like it's in good shape and all that. And I'm going to talk about this fan for a second before we start diving into it. This Thin and Light, this particular model with the metal guard on the front, most of them have the plastic, except for that very rare one with the translucent blades. That's the only one I've ever seen in existence, and I own it. I'm sure there was more manufactured, of course, but that's just what it is. And so my early childhood memories, and I've talked about many other times, were McGraw Edison comfort fans, and my parents had one of these. They'd put this in the living room and lean it against the sliding door, and just to pull in air from outside. It would be the evening, my dad would be in his reclining chair watching TV. This would be on low, moving air. They would sometimes turn on the air conditioner on the first floor. We only had it on the first floor. It was probably like I think it was a 240 volt window unit. I don't know the BTUs, but it was pretty big. Had the wood grain front to it, and it was in the dining room. So they would turn it on and it would cool the whole first floor, but they would then move this, put it between the family room and the living room to move the air like around. So I remember that, right? And I just remembered the other thing too is it has an opening in the center of the hub. And when I was little, I would kind of like crawl up to it and think like, did a screw fall out? Little did I know that that just sits on a shaft, right? So this is the only one out of all the Thin and Lights I have with the white blades that has the metal guard. And it's kind of fascinating. And what I wondered is, did they produce these at the same time, or did they produce them like this first and they're like, let's switch to the plastic? I also realize, and I think it's actually a cool thing, I talked about it with the translucent one in the past, is this is the exact same guard they use on the other side where they mount the motor to. You can tell because it has like these struts or whatever you want to call that go down. I think inadvertently it looks cool because it frames the hub. I think it looks cool. Anyway, that's just me. So this again, it is totally locked. And for fun,
You'll let it hum really loud.
it's on now. Actually, hear it?
Yep.
Okay, so it doesn't even, and I have tried to stick. See, you can't budge it.
Yeah, just wanted the
You,
viewers to
oh
hear
yeah,
it.
I've tried to do this and like
That's low. I guess.
see how it.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So the thing is, whoever sold it to, because I did get this on eBay again 10 plus years ago, probably sold it knowing that, because I never turned it on when I received it. It wasn't until probably almost 10 years later I turned it on last summer for the first time, and that's what I got. So shame on me, but because I would have pursued that a little bit more.
Handle, knob are same.
Yeah, very on the little guy.
And this is a 3-speed, that's a 2-speed.
Isn't that interesting? The other thing too is I think they did make variants with the darker handle, which is more indicative of the traditional comfort fan, and a darker switch, like one of those. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive in. So I'm gonna grab the tools. This will be a long form service video, so stick with us. We likely will do this in parts, but it will be seamless to you.
First try.
Nice. And I am fighting a cold. Well, not fighting a cold. I have a cold. So if I sound different or get quiet or start coughing, that's what's going on with me. In fact, if we get this one performing the way it should be, it's okay. I'm actually going to, because you know how we had a thin and light.
Which one? Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was in the sunroom last year.
This is more like that one.
Yeah.
Mini.
So this, he's working on that. This I serviced last in the off season, but see how this has the darker switch?
Oh yeah.
And the cord is darker. So this one I serviced and used in the sunroom. But if this one that we're working on, we get it good to go, then I'm gonna switch and use this one because this is more like the childhood one.
And don't have to worry about the grills.
Yellowing.
Yeah.
I think in a sunroom, I mean, I know they call it a sunroom, but when I use the older fans, I make sure they're not getting hit. The nice thing with metal guards, they're easier to clean.
Yep. The only problem is they rust.
Yeah.
Like a certain fan behind the camera.
Yep. Now, what I'm curious about this is, one of my reluctance to like mess with it sooner is I have PTSD from the hub slipping on my comfort fan, and I was like, oh man, this is actually pretty heavy. I never took one of these off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thin and light.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Probably what we'll do is we'll wipe this down before we put it back on.
Oh yeah. Windings are caked.
Yeah, this is gonna need a full wind.
So the mini, this has the same size motor in it.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fun.
I know. All right, so let's see if I can get these blades off.
What?
This might.
The grill.
Yeah, we might have to take the motor off. Yeah,
Press that gooey stuff.
could be. All right, let's.
The shaft right there.
So the problem with these things is I do not want to remove the switch, because McGraw Edison's, your chances of breaking the tabs on the switch are like usually like 99%. So usually when I work on these, if I have to take the motor out, I do. And then I kind of work with it in the cabinet, like just loose, and I put stuff down. I have cut these sometimes, the zip ties around there, and then just replaced them with new ones. And I've seen others do that too. All right, so let's now pop those off.
Of course. I couldn't just use the same size.
Yeah, if the switch was like much easier to remove, this would be. I'm just trying to think of how we're gonna get those blades off.
Washer's stuck.
So I have found if you, it'll be okay. I'm just trying to think on these. No, I know I like these style with the motor mounted into the grill, but it is more of a hassle. Like even this motor, like in a thin and light, looks large.
Yeah, that's pretty big. lay it down.
Yeah, so then that's usually when the wires or washers start to pop out, is when you pull them.
Come on.
You want to just I'll hold this if you grab a hammer and just give it a tap. It needs more than that. Well, I guess I'll grab the hammer. Need a screwdriver. We don't have a straight screwdriver. I was going to use it to try to get that washer. There we go. The washer. There we go. Why am I doing that? Because we know that on these fans that there's a grommet that goes through where the motor is mounted, and the wire goes through there, and it's kind of a weak point with these fans, like a flex point for the power cord. So I like to, when I'm working on them, typically just put something on there to just keep it off from being flushed. Now I know that's not going. So now this is a headache.
So complicated.
What I want to try to do is remove the shell. So what I'm trying to do is basically disassemble it with the blades on it. So there are 3. I'm gonna probably have to cut. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut those zip ties off so we have more slack. I suppose I'll get the scissors. Is there anything interesting you want to say to anybody?
No.
All right.
Pause it.
Yeah. I'm going to try to cut those off. Try not to cut the insulation on the wires, please. You know what's interesting is when we brought fans over the Jordans, I think the first time we went, just to show him and like work on some fans together, we brought this one, and we worked and tested every single fan, but we ran out of time for this one. So this fan came that close from being on his channel.
So annoying.
Yeah, so the problem I was having trying to pop those blades off is, this is again an argument against having a design where the guard is, the motor's mounted to the guard, is the guard was bending inward towards me as I was pulling on the hub of the blades to get them off. So I knew that was not going to work. So that therefore we're going to try to work kind of backwards and get the motor out and the shell off in the rear, and then hopefully pull everything through.
If we get the zip ties off.
Yeah, so he's trying to cut the zip ties off that hold the wires to the guard, so we have a little slack to be able to move the motor around, really to get to the 3 bolts in the rear to pull the rear shell off.
course, the zip tie is just tight enough where I can't get the scissors
underneath.
underneath it.
So you almost have to like snip at it.
It must be easier with a razor blade. I'm trying not to slice the wires in half.
You have a razor blade, you can get it.
Pretty sure there's some in your toolbox. Go get one.
Might leave them, yeah. So we got the first one. Ooh, that's like a dry rot plastic. So that helps us there. Just get enough slack to get behind this thing. Like this. All right, so to get that off, I don't know if these sockets are going to be long enough. Whoa. I can actually hand tight these.
Oh, of course.
I got one off.
Is that good enough to?
Yeah, maybe. I was wondering if the sockets were going to be deep enough to do this, and then I was like, it was a can turning out here. So these, as you know, poke through there, and then the bolts go through. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So these, yeah. So those are the mounts that actually ultimately go through the guard, but they go right through the shell. Yeah, that was a little tighter. They're just long enough to, hey, be deep. I have to go up and get the bigger socket set. Since you just went up the stairs, I'll go. Let's see if you can use the pliers. Here, hold. I'm gonna go get the deeper sockets, just like you got the razor, and we're literally tag teaming this thing.
Can't tell if it's turning. Another one out. Got one out.
Okay, there's one more to go. I got the big socket set. In case we need that. It's freezing cold from being in the garage. That was gonna happen by the end of the winter. Like the tools are gonna work their way down here. Then when we start with the lawnmower projects in the garage, the tools will have to make their way back up. Sweet. All right. Of course, now this is where a regular screwdriver comes in handy to pop the shell off.
Want to take my turn and go upstairs?
I just went upstairs to get that. To take your turn? Okay. I'll go get screwdriver.
I guess I have to take my turn and go.
Oh, okay. You'll take your turn? Okay. All right, I'll keep working with this. Yeah, grab 2 flat screwdrivers just to have.
Big one, the smaller one?
Yeah. The other option is to use the puller on this, but I haven't had good results with that. We would need a bigger puller, which I have, like this one. While you're doing that with the screwdriver, actually, I'll work that, but I was also going to say we have to use a larger puller for this to try it. Okay. You want me to do that, or you're going to do it?
I'll attempt.
Okay, so just be very careful that you don't pinch a winding when you do that. That's where the game is over. Like if we break a winding. Then I would just take one of my plastic ones with the plastic front guard and just swap it with this one and be like, okay. I'm getting the puller ready just in case we need or want to go that route. You got it off, okay? Yeah, it's pretty, I see evidence, but the felt in there looks dry. Yeah, so the problem is, so you can't, because the rotor, so the rotor's here, so you can't obviously bring it this way, and you can't punch it through that way. But, okay, so the thrust washers, all right, so we want to remember this. This goes,
Right.
I want to put this back on exactly, because I think this is one of the troubles I got into with my other comfort fan, is not putting this one correctly. All right, so this goes on just like this. Piece of hair in there, that's weird. So this goes on towards the center. We're gonna put it all the way over here. Now, I think we're gonna have to give the puller a shot here.
Destroy the shaft. A little divot.
Yeah, and I think it'll be okay. All right.
Aneurysm trying to get it on.
I know. All right, so we have a puller on here. We're gonna try to be gentle. I laugh because we ruin metal blades on a fan. We ruin that. So I'm gonna try for this. Is that the right
angle?
Is that the right?
Yeah, it's the right size. Don't bend these. Crack instead of bending.
Probably digging in.
Yeah, it probably is.
The other thing I heard you can do is,
Oh yeah, I've seen people must feel great.
Mine are already broken, so it doesn't matter.
Don't break mine.
Alright, now I'm gonna back it off because I know what's gonna happen. That is just gonna make that opening gigantic on the shaft.
Terrible.
No, that didn't really bust it up, but the fact that
It went up very slightly.
yeah. Yep. Could you snip another wire?
Try.
Might have a sip of tea. Warm tea does help. I feel like it clears me out.
Try not to go too hard.
Because the last thing I really want to do is got it. Yep. Okay. So gives us a little more room to work with here. All right, well, there's that. There, yay, it worked. So the puller was just enough to pull this out. Now, the thing I don't like is that seems to be a little wider. So what we're gonna do is when we go to put this back, we're gonna put a zip tie around there and then snip it. Okay, so here is, this is the thrust washer on the other side. No, the thrust washer would actually be somewhat.
This needs to be.
Yeah. So this was sitting here. So this was in. So Eddie, this was inside here. I think we're holding it together. So I think a zip tie is going to be important. So we're going to put that part there.
This was over.
Yeah. So we're gonna. Yeah. All right. So look at this, man. So I want to try to. Oh,
Tug of war.
is it whose turn is it to go upstairs?
Your turn.
Okay, paper towel. To try to like get that smudge off.
We had paper towels.
No, I used them all.
Hey.
All right. Do you have anything interesting to say, or shall I pause it?
Shall pause it.
All right. All right. We have paper towels. Eddie's bleeding all over the place. He
On the fan.
cut himself on the fan.
Yeah.
This fan is fighting us. It's
Literally.
like,
It's a cat.
yeah, it's like I don't want to be serviced. I want to just be left alone and leave me in my box. Leave me alone. I stopped working decades ago. Stop trying to bring me back. All right. Just very carefully. Very carefully. Oh man! Like so that is the wick. That
That's
is
disintegrating.
yeah. Okay. So I know what we're up against here. So these thrust washers. There's 3 pieces, just like the other side. All right, so remember this: the long side, the thrust washers are over here. As I knock them over, and everything that goes on bottom towards the center. The long side's over there. All right. Now the weird thing about this fan is it's not dirty. It's not dirty at all.
Yeah, blades aren't too bad.
No.
Slight. There's a little dust on the inside.
Yeah, but I'm saying like even in the motor, like, all right. So the next part is going to be involving the garage. And we are going to, there's not even any dust in here. It's so weird. What I think is what happened here with this fan, low hours, very low hours, and it just dried out, disintegrated. That was it. Like, this is not in the condition it is in because it has high hours, it has very low hours. All right, so what I'm going to do, viewers, is I am going to take the cabinet and the motor upstairs into the garage and hit it with varnish. I am going to do this up there because the varnish smells really bad. So I'm just going to explain the process. I use spray on varnish. They make it in different colors. You want to get clear. Unfortunately, mine is red, so I'm just going to use what I have. And you obviously shake well, do all those things. You get close to it and hit the windings with the varnish. Now, the point of that is, over time, the insulation starts to break down and the wires start to vibrate. And when they vibrate and the insulation wears off, you can have an arc, or essentially a burnout situation, and then the motor needs to be rewound. I don't know how to rewind a motor. I've yet to see someone on YouTube rewind a motor. I know it's possible because somebody actually did rewind a motor for me. Okay, so I'm gonna go do that, and then bring it probably back here to dry because it's cold in the garage. I hope, yeah, because it'll be just tacky forever in the garage. Okay, so we're gonna go do that.
Now, I'm going to oil the wicks to the best of my ability. And we should be good to go.
All right, so I went out and varnished, and because you know the status of this motor, it's still, like, you know, the switch is still connected, so I protected the bottom of the guard with paper towel. You can see, you also can see I'm using red varnish. Again, hindsight, I recommend the clear. And then I have it resting on a piece of cardboard or a pizza box. This way, it's just a firm surface underneath. That will take a little bit to dry, so we'll do that. Eddie had done with you the oiling of, you know, using the zoom spout on the shells, or I should say the bearings. So that's really good because they'll have some time to just really just sit. Now, if I had a drill press, I would put the rotor in the shaft and really look to polish this, but I have neither. So what we're gonna do is when we reassemble this, we're gonna use sandpaper on the shaft to try to smooth it out.
There it is.
Yeah, sandpaper. That's what it looks like.
Yes.
In case you don't know. Okay. Okay, it's been a little bit. Let's see how this feels. Yeah, it's dry. Yeah, so again, I used red in color. So we're gonna start the reassembly process here. And I'm gonna blow my nose in one of these paper towels. Now, you may say this looks like crap. Again, I'm using red varnish. You want to use clear, that's okay. I'm fine with it. I'm learning. We need like a waste paper basket down here. All right, so we're gonna turn this way.
Sponsoring the pizza place.
Yeah, pizza place. All right, I need a shell.
Shelling.
And I need the rotor. So the trick here is you gotta line these holes up. It can be fun. Now I just look what I did with that varnish. That's messy.
Oh.
I'm in the garage and it was just like on the floor trying to. And it's like 20 degrees in there. All right, so you gotta try to line those holes up. Okay, I think I got them lined up. And then that's the rear. And we just dabbled some oil through there. Eddie did a nice job oiling that. So we just got to work it back through the bearing. There it goes. So I can tell that the center is rubbing that. Let's take a look. You know what we forgot?
The washer.
Thrust washers. So those, I'll pick them up. So I was like, why is it dropping all the way through? So I remember this was the shorter side. They don't make it easy. That's why they don't intend for people to take these apart. There we go. Oh yeah. Before we couldn't spin this. Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah.
All right. So next, thrust washers to the other side. All right. Looks pretty good. All right, so we're gonna line these holes up. Right, so now so if you're doing an Edison, you want to remember this side, it has to come up from the rear, right? Because this backs up into the guard, and then those bolts that are on the other side of the guard with the lock washer goes onto that. Now, the other thing you want to be careful is I've had to flip the motor back and forth because I was varnishing the windings. If you ever like shoot which way does the motor go, just remember the wires closest to the cage is the correct way. It was actually the other thin and light that's over there. I think that's the one I put the motor in backwards and I turned it on and I saw the shaft spinning the other way and I knew what I did right away. So that was silly mistake. Okay, So here is where the fun can happen. I'm so mad that I might be able to get that off. So here's where your patience comes in. Whoops. Sometimes you have to.
Have an aneurysm.
No. Oh, did I get it? I think I might have gotten it.
Yeah, I think you did.
May I have, is this it? Oh, that's right. We did this with an open-ended wrench or a pair of pliers. Actually, could you open the sockets, the big set, and try to get me a deep one that fits this? Using a garbage pair of pliers is tough. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get these others in.
How big would it be? A little too small.
Give me one size bigger, please.
Still too small?
Yeah. Get one bigger. Do you have the next size up?
It might be too big.
Nope, that's it. Great. So I just need to line it. The third one. All right, so let's start trying to tighten these down. I flipped it. Yep, see it's coming right through. It's good. I can feel it pulling tight. That's nice. So I'm not like murdering this. I'm just getting it so they're all snug. I got 2 of the 3. Well, actually, that's snug. You know, the one thing we're going to have with this fan is we know we're missing at least one screw on the
missing 2
on the guard. Now, what we might want to do is borrow screws from the front side because the rear guard is, one would argue, more important because it's housing the motor. So here is the last thing I'm going to do. Oh, let's see, this is stiff as a mother. Shoot, that's not.
Need to align it? Or?
Yeah. That's still stiff. Man, that is like dead stiff. Oy, oy, oy.
Stupid.
be that stiff. All right, we're gonna loose back off these bolts and figure out what's going on. It is not. Why is it? All right, just an update on where we are. Off camera, I went and grabbed one of my reserve shells. Might have done that on camera. Oiled it up. This is actually might be it. It's actually better condition than one of the shells that we had here. And then we put it on. Still had the same issue. I then removed the rear shell and swapped it. You could see like it spins, but what's happening is just like it was before we even started working on this fan, it'll spin and then it gets caught. And we have certainly tried to balance this thing, and it seems the rotor is dragging somewhere inside the stator here. And we were looking for a spare rotor. We thought we know we have one somewhere that goes to an Edison, but I just, it was moving and everything. I don't know where it could have ended up. So we're at kind of a sticking point here, and we just can't get it back. So what we're going to do is do some investigating, and if I could find, see, there we go. See, it goes around for a while, then it gets hung up. Get this. Let me line this back up. I'll kind of show you guys what I mean, and then we're probably going to call it for a part one. I originally was going to do this in one video, which done many of these service videos in one shot. What is the issue here? This is kind of a unique situation. Hear it? Like it. Of course, all thrust washers came off. Oops. So we're really struggling here. See? And this same situation occurs no matter if I use, this is the rear shell, that is the rear shell. And if we even try to, no, it's just nothing. It just hums. Yeah, so if I'm facing the motor, it should be turning this way. It's just not moving. Okay, so this we'll call part one, and we're going to look for some resolutions and hopefully come back at it with a fresh mind and perhaps even a different rotor, because we can't figure out what is going on here without a little more investigation. So stay tuned, and comments, suggestions are welcome, and we'll see you hopefully very soon. Well, I'll explain what went on here. Ding! So we have a situation. As I said, we have a situation. Did I bring... We have one more shell than we actually need. So we have a situation with this thin and light fan where the thick and heavy. Oh, that's interesting.
Is it working perfectly now? See all the car ride bumps.
All the car, yeah. So the situation was here. There, it's just this one spot. I'll plug that in. I'll show you. It'll just hum. Yeah, there it is. Where the rotor gets stuck. Air quality issues down here. Yes.
Oh, God.
See.
That was a good lunch.
That's locking up now because it relies on both shells being.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
It'll never work without the second shell in place.
But I did have the second shell in place at one
Right.
point, and I had to disassemble the whole darn thing again.
Because ultimately, what's happening now without the shell in place is it just pulls
Okay.
to the nearest hole, and then it locks up against the. It locks up against the stator. So can we put the shell on?
Yeah.
See what's going on there?
They're both oiled. They're both.
Yeah, I do kind of feel that one spot.
Yeah.
It's getting stiff. If this does happen to be an issue with the fit, we could probably just shave down some part of this wherever it's hitting.
Do you think the cause of that is a true manufacturing defect, or would there be something mechanically that caused that?
I would say it's probably a manufacturing defect. It is a fairly precise fit, but this looks unusually close, especially for a cheap motor. Yeah, this is definitely a manufacturing defect, as you can see. Not stick anything metal in there while it's plugged in, but if you look here, this is practically touching, and then this is practically touching, and then you have a fair bit of gap here. This amount of gap is probably around what's normal. So I do think that there's a manufacturing defect in this motor. It's just not. Oh, I forgot we didn't have the other shell in place. It still seems like this here and here. It just seems very, very close. Let's put the other shell on and see. I like to work with a plug-in as well.
Yeah, you might unplug.
You see these motors. There's an error. These motors being that. No, I wouldn't call that press fit, but kind of like a press fitting. It's going to be very difficult to align that properly. Is this on all the way?
No, it needs to be.
Does that need to be completely
Yep.
placed for this to even have a chance of working? I don't like these motors.
This is the part that's always tricky.
Did you line it up correctly?
I believe I did. There it is. No, it's not.
Like I'm working with Kevin.
I
He's crawling along. But as I always
don't
say,
think this is on correctly. That's
right. If this was Kevin, he would have got it right the first time.
yeah.
Is the back shell misaligned too?
It is misaligned because I can't get this one. Yeah, it's totally misaligned. That's the problem.
That's unfortunate.
But these are a pain.
That motor's an alignment nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
I do not enjoy working on those motors at all.
What in the world? There we go. Just make sure that goes through.
It does.
It does. And as you know, with these motors, it mounts into the guard. So like it's a lot of alignment.
Another situation brewing.
Yeah.
You better hurry up and get that motor.
I know.
together.
Need to turn this fan on. Why is this?
Sort of like this motor's gonna have to get around.
Oh, that'd be too easy.
You gotta go and get some more fans.
Phew, man. We ate the same thing. All right. Okay. That's so.
Well, you gotta put the bolts in front and tighten it down.
You have to. So this actually has to mount back into the.
Well, aren't there bolts that go on or nuts, I should say, that go on this other side?
No.
How does the motor stay closed?
So these just these just tighten into the shells, and then they tighten down on the outside. Like well, actually, that one you can pull through, but it's
No, there has to be nuts that go in the front there. Is this you're saying that this is threaded here?
because there's just nuts for the front of the guard in here.
No, there definitely needs to be there need there definitely
Split
needs
on
to
the
be
What a day!
nuts here on the front for
Hold
sure.
on, I'm just pulling out what we got. These three funny looking ones go to the front of the guard. And those are the little washers. These go to the no, that's it. That's all.
Well, if that's the way it came, that's why it doesn't work.
That would be why. Yeah, because those go to.
Nuts.
Yeah, I am going nuts.
What's your left and back?
No, this is all that's here.
There absolutely has to be nuts on the front of that motor.
That would be the problem.
And you're saying that those three aren't it?
No, because these three. So when this.
Oh, those go on the back?
Yeah.
Well, since it's the same thread, we can use it just for testing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have to find out what the thread is on those and get some more. Hopefully, it's a fairly standard size.
That would make a ton of sense. And I've worked on enough of these to know that. Oof.
Well, we have to tighten it down and align it first. Probably. Yeah, of course. It's some stupid size. What a lousy welding job.
Yeah, really. When I was there was something off with this motor from the minute I took it apart.
Well, this might be it. Might be missing some parts.
And it does appear that it was tampered with because, was this a piece of the thrust washer? Yeah, sure it is.
Oh, cool. So now it's going to make some funny noises. Well, now there's something else wrong with it because this is just totally locked.
It's the same problem.
This was the problem that you would
Yeah.
have?
And it was like that way when I went to disassemble it.
Yeah, see, that's...
Is that, do you think, where it's hanging up?
I can feel it. This is not a bearing issue. This is metal on metal, and metal surfaces are not meant to be touched.
No, they're not.
This is going to be the rotor. This is going to be and now it's free. Yeah, so what's happening here is the
rotor's touching.
the rotor is hitting the stator at some point, and that's why it's getting so stiff. Most likely the rotor is so poorly made that it's just slightly oblong. So that's why we have a free spot here,
Mm-hmm.
and then it locks again. I bet this was a factory defect, and it was like this from day one.
It had to have been, because there's no. When I disassembled it, as I said, it seemed like it had like 0 hours on it, and that would line up. Because,
offer an explanation.
yeah.
So, so let's see if we can tell where it's hitting, and maybe we can just shave that part down. It looks okay on that side. I think it's going to be that pole. This is a really strange problem to have.
It is. I've never seen anything like it.
The viewing angle is not good enough.
No.
So it's very hard.
I'm trying to see through the openings as well.
It's very hard to see where the problem is taking place. Can we take this outside of the box and just sit it on the table? Is there enough slack? Can we just remove this stuff?
Yes.
Just leaning over the box is not helping us
Yeah.
see.
Well, first let's move the pizza.
I
Don't.
like pizza.
These always.
Maybe if we just remove this wire tie, that'll make
Yeah,
it,
that's. Yeah, I hate
better.
taking these out because they tend to snap when you put
Yeah, I
them.
wouldn't take that out.
Yeah. Do you have something to snip that with?
Yes.
Working upside down. Ding. All right, you're free.
That's cool. I like when screwdrivers crash around the side box fans. You know what? It might be easier to look at it from, if we turn the shaft from the front and look at it from the back. It might also be that it's such a small difference, we're not even going to be able to see it. I mean, it could be like a couple microns or something difference. Yeah, I think it's right here.
Okay. Got nothing to lose.
It's not much to gain either, just a cheap piece of junk box. Throw it out, buy a Lasco 3733. I bet the motor wouldn't have this problem.
No.
Yeah, I don't see any space between. I'm trying to think of what we would even use to file this down.
Yeah, I've never filed a rotor down before.
This is such a bizarre issue to have. And you said that you tried other rotors in here?
No, I didn't. That was the one thing I didn't. I thought I had a spare rotor. We looked all over. Yeah.
We would just take a working one and put it in there to see what happens.
Yeah, because then quickly you would know if it's the rotor or if it's the stator.
Exactly. I mean, obviously it has to be an issue with the rotor not being perfectly circular, but it could be that what's out of spec is the stator.
How does that happen coming off an assembly line when things are designed to be exactly the same? I guess there's a tolerance.
I think that the tolerance on these is probably very, very poor. Yeah, I'm gonna say that it's happening with this pole right here. It looks to me like it's practically touching, or it probably is. I don't see any. I mean, I don't see any gap in there at all. It's between that.
Oh no, yeah.
So I
That's
think
it is
where
touching.
it's getting hung up. So we now have to figure out. One, is that the only spot? And number two, how do we shave it down? But I would want to try another rotor in there before we do anything.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
If the rotor is, I think it's the stator that's out of spec, but if the rotor's out of spec, I mean, you have to shave off so much. I don't know how you even do that.
I would just get another rotor or find one. Okay. I could do all that.
Very strange.
Yeah.
But I would say that's definitely some type of manufacturing defect.
Yeah. All right. To be continued.